We actually have a connection with Jimmy. Back at the old Roundhouse Central Church over across town, we did a number of really big musical productions, and Jimmy was gracious enough to come and do a little small gig for us and sing for us, and it was just a wonderful experience, and we have close ties and relationships within the church with the family, and we are honored to be asked to host this event and honored to be a part of it with you. And we thank you for your attendance. Your attendance here tonight is a great tribute of honor to the family and a source of comfort, and we thank you for being here tonight. And we want to celebrate. It's a celebration of the life of Jimmy, and our prayer is that it'll be a great source of comfort and also a time of joy that fills our hearts as we think through his life. And I heard that Jimmy had a really big heart, and he loved, and he was a good man, and so we want to celebrate that tonight. And we want to begin with an invocation. If you would just bow with me all across the room as we ask the Lord to bless this time together. Father, we in heaven, we just come to your throne here tonight, and we seek your blessing. We ask you, O Holy Spirit, that you would be thick in this room, and with your comfort and with your grace. And we ask for your mercy to be poured out in abundance upon the family here tonight, upon the friends and even fans. Lord, we want the joy of the Lord to be very near and present with us tonight. We thank you for the life of Jimi Jamison, the talents, the creativity, and the contributions that he made in so many lives, and many of those lives sitting in this room here tonight. We ask for your presence. Bless this evening as we remember him. We ask it all in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Jimi Jamison, he has the #1 boxing song in history, Eye of a Tiger.
I think I'm blessed by God to be able to be honest with you. I think I'm one of the luckiest guys. You know, I never chose music as a career, and to have a song like that everybody recognizes, and also Burning Heart, you know, and I just feel very thankful and lucky that I'm able to make a living doing what I love to do.
At the same time, Survivor, who was on CBS, suggested that they give me a call and have me come up there and sing, and so they did, and I did. So I put my cowboy boots on, you know, and I went up there and did it. And everybody else had came in and auditioned. Jim Peter told me later with scarves and all kind of crap, you know.
There you stood, that'll teach her to look so good and feel so right. Let me tell you about the girl I met last night. Don't you worry, it's gonna be alright. 'Cause I'm always ready, I won't let you out of my sight. I can't hold back, I'm on the edge. I can't hold back, your voice explodes inside my head.
Yeah, we'll be singing later on. This is the second visit here, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you.
楽しみにしてます。だって彼らの歌は今もうね、全米ヒットチャート。
大変なもんでございますからね。
Is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love that's been keeping me up all night? Is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love? Ever since the world began,
Starbucks double shot espresso drink. Bring on the day.
Rye! Rye, rye, rye!
Since childhood, one mission would fuel my heart's ambition. I kept my vision focused on the charts. Our love was in season, just 3 chords and a reason. In time we learned the balance of 2 hearts. We were burning with the fire of new creation. There's no heights we couldn't climb, no word we couldn't rhyme. You pushed me to the limits of my soul. And though the melodies have changed, still the song remains the same. You're the torch that lights the flame behind the music. Every town along the way, from every stage I ever played, you would keep the faith whenever I start to lose it. It was always you when the spotlight turned to blue behind the music.
Whew. It's hard to follow a video like that, huh? First of all, I'd just like to say thank you all for coming tonight. Real quickly, Lacey Jamison has set a little memory box up there in the front. If you have not, when you leave, please, if you have a fond memory of Jimmy, that you could write down or your name so they know that you came and put that in there for him. Okay, first of all, these flowers I thought was kind of cool. These come from Eddie Money. I sent these flowers. Also, tell everyone at the Jimmy Memorial Service that he was my best friend for over 25 years. We did over 300 shows and concerts together. We worked on 5 CDs together and even did a duet, Kimball Jamison. I'm flying to Tokyo tonight and would love to have been there, but last night at my concert, I believe it's Medellin, Colombia. Did I say that wrong? He said he did Eye of the Tiger as a tribute, and got a standing ovation for Jimmy. So Bobby Kimball at Toto did that. Mark, a lot of great artists are here tonight. Mark Drube and, of course, Jimmy Peterick are here from Survivor. Thank you. First class, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. George Klein is in the building, too. Thank you very much. A Jeeker man. It was 25 years ago this month that I became the new nighttime radio host at FM 100 in Memphis, Tennessee. Steve Conley is in the building. So Steve hired me there. If it wasn't for Steve, I never would have met Jimmy. So it's funny how life is. On my first night, the hotline rang, and a guy's voice said, "What time you get off work?" I said, 10 p.m. He said, "Good, I'm going to come by and pick you up, take you out to dinner, and show you Memphis." I said, "That's great. Who is this?" "Oh, I'm Jimi Jamison." Now, see, Jimmy loved to eat. For those of you who knew him, he ate all the time. Every time he'd come to my benefits, he'd go, "Where's the food?" He was always going, "Dang." Now, after a week of doing this and going to Huey's and the Rendezvous and everything, I had to quit going because, see, we were Dutch. We're going Dutch, and he eats free. Rock stars eat free. I didn't know that. And so I was like, man, I'm a nighttime jock. I'm not, making that kind of money. It was 25 years ago that I started a best friendship with Jimi Jamison. Jimmy wasn't selfish. He gave to the poor, hundreds of charities. He once gave his shirt to a homeless guy on Beale Street. We were having lunch on Beale, and there was a guy sitting there. And Jimmy went over, and he took his shirt off, and he gave this guy. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I'm going to take my shirt off and give it to him. Jimmy goes, "You ain't taking your shirt off, are you?" I said, "Well, you did." He says, "No, do not do that on Beale Street." He said, when you got a body like this, you can do that, but you can work out a little bit. It's funny, I ran into Hal Butler at Jimmy's funeral in Mississippi, and I said, Jimmy has a shirt just like that. Hal said, it is Jimmy's shirt. So, I mean, half the audience in here probably has a shirt from Jimmy. Jimmy and I would talk for hours about our lives, memories, our children. We would laugh and we would laugh. Jimmy loved life. He loved his children. He was everybody's best friend. He never met a stranger. Jimmy was as humble as could be. He never thought of himself as more than just a kid who grew up in Memphis, loving Elvis and loving to sing. He never thought of himself as a rock star, but we all know he truly was. He was a bit on the shy side, but when he took his spot at the front of the stage, the spotlight loved Jimi Jamison, and he owned it. His smile could melt a heart, and it was big as the Memphis Bridge is long. Jimmy once picked me up and he said, we're going to go to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And when we got there, a nurse rushed us into the room. And there was a little girl named Angel there. And she loved Survivor, and she loved Jimmy. Jimmy was her idol. And she asked Jimmy to sing her favorite song, The Search Is Over. So with a tear running down both of our eyes, Jimmy began to sing that song. And, I was in the room, and I just started, singing a little backup harmony on the song. And halfway through the song, the little girl looked me straight in the eye. I kid you not. She put her hand up. She said, stop. She said, you're singing off key. You've got to let Jimmy finish that song. So every time over the last 25 years that I've had a chance to sing some harmony with him, he'd always go, stop, you're singing off key. In 1993, I booked Jimmy to perform in my hometown of Poplar Bluff, Missouri. He was so excited that I got him $10,000 to do this performance. And when it was over, he asked, who do we settle up with? And I had known all along, I just didn't know how I was going to tell him this, but it was for a furniture place, right? And so American Superstores. And I said, Jimmy, how are you at driving a U-Haul? And he looked at me like, because he always had me in black sunglasses on, he'd go. I said, listen, I didn't get you $10,000 cash. He says, you're not trading out furniture, are you? I said, yeah. He said, what am I going to tell the band? I mean, how do I pay the band? I looked him straight in the eye and I said, with a dishwasher? I think about what God said to Jimmy at the pearly gates. You're late. Jimmy was always late. I don't know why we ever booked him as an opening act. He should have always been the headliner because he always showed up late. Of course, God also probably looked at him at the pearly gates and said, Baywatch? Really? The world has lost a great voice and a humanitarian, a father, a grandfather, and a best friend. But heaven has gained a new lead singer with a voice and a soul as pure as gold. Thank you.
I've known Jimmy since I was 13 years old. He nicknamed me Scooter. I always called me Shorty. I told him one of these days I was going to be taller than him. I don't know if I made it or not. It seems that to me we were about the same size. But through the years, Jimmy touched me on many occasions. By the way, my name is Terry Rowland. And it's an honor today to come in front of y'all and to honor a gentleman that touched me and thousands and millions more across the United States and across the whole world. It means a lot to me and to the family. Thank y'all for allowing me to be here. I have a resolution for you. I have a lot of resolutions in back. We got one from the sheriff, one from the mayor, one from the city council, but I wanted to come and deliver mine personally because he was a personal friend of mine. And I'll start by reading this. Y'all just bear with me. This is a special resolution honoring nationally acclaimed lead vocalist and proud Memphian, Mr. Jimi Jamison, for his legendary impact on the American culture, classic rock and roll, and his tireless dedication to benefiting organizations and fellow artists with his undeniable talents. Whereas Jimmy Wayne Jimi Jamison was born August the 23rd, 1951 in rural Durant, Mississippi, but considered himself a Memphis native, as he and his mother, Dorothy, moved to Memphis when he was 1 day old. Jimi left this earth on September the 1st, 2014 in Memphis, Tennessee. And whereas Jimi Jamison, American rock vocalist and songwriter, was best known as the longtime frontman of the rock bands Cobra and platinum-selling Survivor, as well as the voice and co-writer of the theme for the television show Baywatch. He was continuously acclaimed as one of the top 10 male vocalists in the world by Casey Kasem, who also dubbed Jimi the Voice. Whereas Jimi Jamison taught himself to play guitar and piano in his teens, while honing his vocal abilities, and by middle school he was playing in a band. By the 1970s, he was fronting the local Memphis band Target, and that's where he was when I met him. And he went on to become the lead singer of more well-known band Cobra in the early 1980s before joining Survivor. He later provided background vocals for successful bands, including ZZ Top, Joe Walsh, and many others. Now, gotta give me a second here. I want to skip through a little bit of this, and I'm gonna go, whereas Jimi Jamison leaves his dear children, Amy Jamison Pooh, James Jamison, and Lacey Jamison, and one granddaughter, Lola Pooh. Whereas Jamison, well known for his contributions to charities. Everybody know that Jimi never turned a charity down. And I'm gonna tell you folks, you know, there's a lot of attributes that Jimi had, but loving people was his greatest. Been participating in the annual Rockin' Christmas Fund charity fundraiser event, among others, and participated with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the FedEx Family House, and Benefit for St. Jude's Research Hospital annually. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Shelby County, Tennessee, that we do hereby join with the citizens of Shelby County to honor and reflect on the legendary impact of Mr. Jimi Jamison has had on the music business and all the people that loved him and the people that he loved. From Terry Rowland, Chairman Pro Tem, District 1, Shelby County. Folks, keep Jimi in your prayers. He's watching over us now. And thank y'all for allowing me to share this moment with you, and thank you to the family. I've got this for you, and I appreciate y'all letting me be here. Thank you.
Little band, we were a soul band called the Debuts, and this fellow, this DJ heard us, a fellow by the name of Mike Scudder. He heard us and he had some contacts and he thought we were really good, and we were pretty good for that young, you know. Back then we used to play gigs and B.J. Thomas would come hear us, you know, and because we played Hooked on a Feeling and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how y'all doing tonight? I'm Jack Rowell Jr. and I've probably known Jimi longer than anybody in the house. After hearing these guys say all that kind of stuff, you know, you get ready to say something and they say exactly what you're going to be saying and stuff like that. But I'd like to just go over just a couple little things about me and Jimi and introduce some of these guys up to here. That's absolutely amazing. Jimi was singing in a glee club at Sherwood Junior High School back in the day. And we had a little band we put together, and Gary put it together, and we were playing, and we were looking for a singer. And Gary came to me and said, man, I heard this guy singing down in the class. You need to go down there and see him. So I went down there to see who it was, and it was Jimi. And he was singing Moon River. And yeah, and let me tell you, he was singing it too. So we went to went to Jimi and asked him to come to our rehearsal, and he came to the first rehearsal, and we're going to do a song tonight that was the very first song that Jimi sang when he came out to be at our rehearsal. But before we get there and everything, I want to say a couple things about Jimi. Jimi was one of the funniest guys I know. One time he lived at my house with me for quite a long time. And my dad and my mama just took Jimmy in just like they were. They just absolutely loved Jimmy. And my daddy's 84 now, and he wanted to be here tonight, but he's having some health problems. But anyway, when Jimmy passed away, he said that, man, I feel like I lost a son. But my dad used to load us up as kids and carry us around in the back of vans and stuff and take us to all the teenage places in town and play those gigs and everything. And while we were doing that, me and Jimmy played football. And I meant to tell y'all this at the last time I seen y'all. So we played football together. Jimmy was a great athlete. He ran track. He threw discus. He holds records over at Sherwood Junior High right now for being the longest discus thrower. It was incredible. But we played football, and like we were crazy, when we were growing up. So what we did, we were playing in bands. So we went and got us one of those little Beatle haircuts where you didn't have anything but just the hair right in front, and the rest of it shaved off. And we go into go play football, and our coach wouldn't let us play football because we had those haircuts. So my dad, we was out there and we was talking to my dad, so my dad found a piece of glass and cut off our hair in front and with a piece of glass because we wanted to play football. So during the game, I'd run about 3 touchdowns, and it was coming right in the last quarter, and Jimmy was always right next to me, and he would block for me, and we'd run everything. So we were running down the field. We'd run this play. We went around. Nobody was there. It was just me and him. And he looked at me with that crazy grin going, laughing, going, man, can you believe this? I said, I can't believe it. So we run there. So as soon as we get right to right before we get to the line and everything, I told him, I turned around and said, slow up. And he slowed up, and I threw him the football, and he ran in for the touchdown. Oh, man. But listen, man, Jimmy to me, is just unbelievable. Man, he had a dream as a young kid, and he took that dream step by step every day to become who we see who's up here now. His life and legacy, unbelievable rock and roll singer, but an awesome guy. And I tell you, Jimmy had a big heart, and he loved people. He loved every one of y'all. Look at you guys. Every one of y'all in here has got a Jimi Jamison story. I can tell you that right now. But listen, he loved people. I mean, you can see it even in his videos, when he's talking to interviews and everything. He's talking to business and he's doing the thing. But he was always Jimmy, which always fascinated me about him. But I want you to know this, that he loved his family and he loved his children. Every time he'd come off the road and stuff, he'd call me and go, hey, Jack. And we'd get into talking. I'd ask him about what the gigs was happening and everything, and he didn't want to talk about any of that. He wanted to talk about his kids and what was going around Memphis and everything. But one thing I want to say before I introduce the guys in the band and some of the players, some of these guys was in the very first band that we've ever played in Brutes. And we got some of the other guys in here that was in the debuts out there in the crowd. But I want to say this. We was talking with Pat Taylor over here. And there's one thing that we all need to know. Jimmy is in your future if you have faith. I want you to know that. Jimmy is in your future. That's where he got his love. That's the reason why everybody was attracted to him. He had charisma. He had an anointing on his life that went further than just being a lead singer in a rock band. And so anyway, I'm going to quit talking. I want to introduce some of these guys up here. The very first band that we ever played was the Brutes. And Don May, who is sick in the hospital right now, he was our bass player. Jimmy Scoggins. Jimmy, are you here? Where you at, Jimmy? Jimmy Scoggins, will you stand up? Where's Jimmy at? He was right there just a minute ago. Okay, we had Ronnie Ellis on bass, Rick Adams, and then we had John Osborne on saxophone. And we also had Danny Branham on drums, and Danny was the king flipper. There he is right there, I'll tell you. Stand up, Danny, let everybody see you. He was our first drummer. And then we went from that band out of the debuts, we went into a band called Bluebird. And that's where we had Dean Hill on drums. We had Wayne Russell on bass guitar. Give it up for Wayne, would you? Him and Mike Russell. Gary Earhart right here was in the Brutes. He was in the very first band. He's the one that got it together. Give it to Gary. Bob Horn was in Bluebird. And then the one and only Mr. Buddy Davis down there in Target. So this was the very first song that Jimi Jamison ever sang, and I was thinking about it a while ago when I saw him sing those hit records and everything, and for him to sing this song and everything, I went, wow. My dad bought us a microphone at a grocery store, and we taped it on a stand, and that's what we sang on. Don't forget our keyboard player. Oh, I forgot. This guy is so important. Would you put your hands together for Jimmy's long-time keyboard player, great singer and everything. Just him and Jimmy were like some of the best friends that you could get. It's Hal Butler. And back here on the drums, a good friend of Jimmy's, Mr. Doug McMahon. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Good love. Good love. Good love. Oh, yeah. I was feeling so sad. I asked my family doctor just what I had. I said, doctor, listen to me. Doctor, can you tell me what's ailing me? She said, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I knew, it's good love, giving that good love, all I need is love, good love, good love, good love. Honey, sweet man, squeeze me tight. Everything alright. I said, baby, it's so sure. I got the fever, but you got the cure. I said, yeah, 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 yeah. So I said, give me that good, good love, all I need is love, good love, good love. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hal Butler. Good
to be where I'm going in the sunshine of your
Thank you so much. Jimmy, woo, can he sing that song? Hal, you did a great job.
Thank you, Jack. I'd like to say one thing. If y'all would, everybody write the commissioners, the Congress, whoever you got to write, let's make sure he gets a star on Beale Street.
Please.
All I'm gonna say.
Please.
We'll take you back, do some Target music. You guys okay with that?
in love, yeah. Oh, keeps the wheels a turning. It takes two to make a home happy. It takes you to keep from going crazy. I need you to make me feel better. It's only love get me through stormy weather. The key stays going. It's only love. Yeah. Keeps the wheels a turning. Yeah. The best thing that I can do is open up my heart to you. I need you to make me feel better. It's only love, get me through stormy weather. Love keeps things going. It's only love. It keeps the wheels a turning.
I really wasn't interested in going to the studio. I just loved playing live. You know, I didn't even really care about recording. I didn't have the least bit of interest in it. I remember at the session, I was standing there, and Knox said, "All right, Jimmy, let's try it one more time." And I went, "Knox, I've already sung it twice." You know.
So my journey started with Jimi Jamison when I was 11 years old. My friend Ronnie Spain's uncle played in Target, and he came across the street and he said, "I've got this album I need you to listen to." And all I had was Kiss Alive, so my rock record. So he played me Target, and it changed my life. Sorry. Anyway, I followed Target, and then I followed Cobra. I saw Cobra, and I never met Jimmy. And one day I was driving down Cooper, and I was at the red light at Cooper and Madison at the red light. I was stopped, and I looked over to my right. There's this huge blue Cadillac. And there's Jimi Jamison in the mirror. And I was stunned. I was like, that's Jimi Jamison. Later on, we got to kind of know each other, did some jingles with him and things. I got to know him a little bit. I used to go over and sit in the studio. And he came and sang on my record when I was in a band called Roxy Blue out in L.A. He came and sang on Times Are Changing. And he was a great guy to be around. And little did I know, or did he know, that he would become my father-in-law. I fell in love with his daughter. And I got to be careful right now. I'm on the edge. I love Jimmy. Let me just play a song. How about that? And all the games I played seemed that guys were always knowing. Never stood a chance, and I'd never knew. But I found a love so good that I wanna hold it. It's something that I've got to see through. Looking at you, looking at me, what a solid gold love this could be. Something that I'll never know. Looking at you, looking at me, I see a burning love, set me free. We can make it on our own. I came up the highway just to light a one-night stand. I was never looking for another kind. I met you one night, ooh, when we were holding hands. I knew that I'd found my peace of mind. Looking at you, looking at me, what a solid gold love this could be. Something that I'll never know. Looking at you, looking at me, I see a burning love, set me free. We can make it on our own. Looking at you, looking at me, what a solid gold love this could be. Something that I've never known. Looking at you, looking at me, I see a burning love, set me free. We can make it on our own. Looking at you, looking at me. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you. You know, it's quite an honor, really, for me to be here to speak about Jimmy, because we were very good friends. And when Joe called me, I didn't let him finish the sentence. I said, I'm in, man. I'll be there. And I remember, you know, everybody in Memphis has an Elvis story. And Jimmy said, GK, I got an Elvis story. I said, all right, Jimmy, let me hear it. So he said when he was very young, Debbie, he and his wife, his mom, went to Cat's drugstore. Used to be an old Cat's drugstore at Lamar Airway Shopping Center. And that actually, truth be known, that was Elvis's first appearance. He sang on the back of a flatbed truck at the opening of that shopping center because I was the MC. They say the Shell was the first place, but no, it was about on that flatbed truck at Cat's drugstore. But anyway, Jimmy said he and his mom were shopping at Cat's. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and Elvis walks in with his cousin Patsy and his girlfriend at the time, and Elvis was going to buy a monkey or something. And so Jimmy looks around the corner, and he sees Elvis, and he said, Mama, there's Elvis. Mama, there's Elvis. And she said, Elvis Presley. He said, she started screaming. Elvis said, yes, ma'am, what can I do for you? And embarrassed him. But Jimmy said he tried to quiet his mom down. And I said, was that your Elvis story? He said, yeah, that's my Elvis story. But everybody in Memphis has got an Elvis story. You guys know that. But Jimi Jamison had his own story. And I never forget, I had Talent Party for 10 years. And Brute was the first group I think Jimmy was in. And he was on there with my dentist over there, Gary, and Jackie Rowell. They came down to Talent Party with Brute. Then he came back about 6 months later, and he was in another group called Debuts. And I said, Jimmy, what happened? He said, well, we broke that group up. And I said, so one day he was on Talent Party not too long ago. I mean, my current show called Memphis Sounds. And I said, Jimmy, how many times were you on Talent Party? He said, about 8 with different groups. But I'll never forget, the Beach Boys were coming in town, and they called me. Carl Wilson and his brother, they called and said, George, we're coming into Memphis, but we want an opening act. And I said, I got one for you. And I said, I want you to listen to him, Carl Wilson, the Beach Boys. I said, because this guy's great. He said, well, who is it? I said, it's a guy named Jimi Jamison, sings lead for this group, Target. They got to open for you. So they opened for him at the Mid-South Coliseum. And while Target's on, I grabbed Carl Wilson, the Beach Boys, and we walked out front. And I said, listen to him, Carl. He said, GK, you're right. That kid is great. He said, we want him. We want to put him under management. So after the show, we got with Jimmy, and Jimmy was tied up with a guy in Nashville, and he couldn't break away. But we all know that Jimmy was destined to be a star. And I truly think that the man upstairs, dear God, chooses different people for different things. And I think he chose Jimmy to sing. And Jimmy sang his heart out, and boy, did he ever. And when he landed with Survivor, he called me. He said, GK, I'm going with Survivor. I said, okay, Jimmy, good luck to you, my man. I said, that's a big break for you. He said he knew it. And I was in somewhere, I think it was in Florida somewhere, or Los Angeles, and I walked by this audio store. Remember how they used to play music in malls and all? And I told my wife, I said, wait a minute, that's Jimi Jamison. He's singing for the Rocky movie. And I went in, and it was Jimmy. He sang Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 theme. And he did the Baywatch theme also and wrote that. Very talented guy and really a great guy. I don't know how many favors Jimi Jamison did for me. I did 40 Christmas charity shows, and Jimmy did about 10 of them. And when I would call him, he said, GK, don't worry about it. I don't have to check no calendar. Don't check my manager. He said, I'm in. I said, okay. Just recently, I was talking to Jackie Rowell backstage. Elvis's road manager, Joe Esposito, his wife passed away a couple of years ago, and he was in dire straits. He was really down financially. And so we had a fundraiser for him at the Handy Park on Beale Street. And Jimmy said, GK, I'll be there. And so Tony Orlando was headlining. Then we had T.G. Shepard, and we had another act on the show. So after Jimi Jamison went on, Tony Orlando, who's a great talent, came over and said, GK, that kid is something else. Who is that? I said, it's Jimi Jamison, Tony. He sang lead for the Survivor. He said, I thought I heard him before. But Jimmy knocked a lot of people out. And last night, I went to the internet, and I was looking, and I saw Jimmy in Japan. There must have been 20,000 people there. He was in France. There must have been 50,000 people there. And Jimmy was headlining and did a marvelous job. I was so proud of him. He really was a nice guy, was a great talent. And, you know, the way I look at it and the way I hear it a lot of time, Bud will know, Bud Chittum over there, he used to own all the clubs on Beale Street. Great is the most overused word, folks, in sports and music and show business. Everybody is not great. And they come to me a lot, and they say, GK, you got to hear this act. I got a CD or I got a video or whatever. this guy's great or they're great. And I'll watch them and I say, well, they're good. I said, people are good, some people are really good, and some people are great. I said, Elvis was great. I said, Charlie Rich was great. Isaac Hayes was great. Jackie Wilson, James Brown were all great. And I said, everybody's not great. But folks, let me tell you something. I've been around for a long time. I played a lot of records, had a lot of shows. Jimi Jamison was great. And I do think that God chose Jimmy to sing. And our dear God, I think he got with Elvis upstairs in heaven. And I guarantee you, when Jimmy came through those pearly gates, Elvis was the first man to welcome him. Jimmy Jason, we love you, Jimmy.
Hey, everybody. I'm Becky Russell, and I'm not going to say too much. I just want to, I didn't get to sing like big shows with Jimmy or anything, but I got to sing a lot of jingles with him. And he used to drive me nuts because he didn't want to sing the jingle. He wanted to play. He wanted to laugh and be silly. And I used to get so mad at him because I pride myself in being really fast. I get in and get out really quick on my jingles, but I used to just get so mad at him because all he wanted to do was play, and I'm going to miss that very much. I'd just like to say that I love the family members so much, and I'd give anything if I didn't have to be here tonight, quite honestly, but it's been a wonderful celebration. Don't y'all think so? Jimmy made me laugh, and he loved my husband like a brother, and he loved me too, and I'm gonna miss him very much.
Shadows are falling, and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. When you wake up in the morning and you see that crazy sun, keep me in your heart for a while. There's a train leaving nightly comes when all is said and done. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. You know I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts. Take me to your dreams, touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit, and I will be right next to you. Engine drivers headed north to Pleasant Street. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels are turning, but they are running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. shy, la 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 low. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while, yeah. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while.
Convince you what you see is real. Who am I to blame you for doubting what you feel? I was always reaching, you were just a girl I knew. I took for granted the friend I had in you. I was living for a dream, loving for a moment, taking on the world. That was just my style. Now I look into your eyes, I can see forever. The search is over. You were with me all the while. Can we last forever? We fall apart. At times it's so confusing. The questions of the heart. You followed me through changes. Impatiently you'd wait till I came to my senses through some miracle of fate. I was living for a dream, loving for a moment, taking on the world. That was just my style. To your eyes, I can see forever. The search is over. You were with me all the while. Now the miles stretch out behind me, love that I had lost, broken hearts lying victim of again. Good luck, it finally struck like lightning from the blue. Every highway's leading me back to you. At last I hold you. Now all is said and done. The search has come full circle. Our destinies are one. Will you ever love me? Show me that you care again. You'll know for certain the man I really am. Living for a dream, loving for a moment, taking on the world. That
next thing, I didn't really think it was going to do anything, you know, but next thing I know, I'm hearing High on You every 5 minutes. Driving down the road, I'm going, God, it's great. Are they ever going to start playing that song? But it was great. It was a good feeling for the first time in my life. It feels good to come in and not just have to copy somebody, you know, with Eye of the Tiger, which I never minded doing at all. I just sang it like I sang it, and record another album and then have hits on that album too. You know, it's really good feeling.
Hey everybody, I'm Jim Peterick. I am so honored to be here, honored beyond belief that I could be a part of this. Jimmy was a huge part of my professional life, and like the singer that I've always dreamed I would one day be working with. I could stand here all night and tell Jimi Jamison stories. But after that song, you know, I just saw that about like a few weeks ago after he passed away. Was that the best? Holy crap. I mean, that's Jim in his full glory with the orchestra, with the choir. He deserves that. The lights, but it reminded me of the first time Survivor used to rehearse at a carpet warehouse, and it was a horrible place. And the fumes of the carpets would make our eyes tear, you know. It was that bad. And Jimmy had just auditioned for the band, and you know, Frankie and I had just written this song called The Search Is Over. And we were teaching it to him, you know, and I was at the piano, and I had it in E flat, you know, and that was the key, well, that was the key I wrote it in, yeah? So, you know, he's singing, he was a quick learner, by the way. I would sing him a melody, you know, and he would get it right away. I said, did you hear this song before? No, man. He had that kind of ear, okay? So anyway, you know, he's singing the verse, it sounded great, and then he's singing the chorus, and he gets that part, and then I looked into your eye, and he cracked, okay? And then I turned to Frankie and I go, oh man, we better lower the key. And Jimmy looked at me right in the eye and says, man, give half a man a chance. And I played it again in the higher key, nailed it. And that was Jimi Jamison. He knew he could do it, and he did it, you know. We had a lot of great times together. I felt very blessed to be working with him. And when I left Survivor in '96, my biggest regret is I wouldn't get to work with Jimi Jamison. Not only as a singer, but as a person. He was so generous to his fans, to his family. He would always give the fans the time of day, more than the time of day, you know? That is the person he was. To him, the audience was royalty. And that showed in every note he sang. You would believe every word he said that came out of his mouth. So when I got the opportunity in 2008 to produce his solo album, I got a call from Serafino Perugino and Frontiers Records. Maestro, I want you to produce Jimi Jamison. I go, shut the door. Are you kidding me? It was like the greatest news I ever heard in my life. And I started writing because I write good for Jimi Jamison. And he came into Chicago and we started recording, you know, like old times, man. And his voice rings like a bell, as you know. And he would come into town maybe 3 or 4 times in that year to record songs that became an album called Crossroads Moment. And that song, thank you. And that song, Behind the Music, was a part of it. I was really pleased to hear that. But one day he came and he said, man, I really got some bad news. He said, my stepfather just passed away. And I said, man, that's such a shame, man. You know, he was really broken up. And that night I went to bed and I slept. In the middle of the night, you know, I had this dream. And it's almost like a visitation when you have a dream. And I heard this chorus and I heard these words. And woke up the next day and said, Jimmy, I think I just wrote a song for your father, your stepdad. And he said, let's hear it. So I sang it for him, and he started, tearing up. And that day, or maybe 2 days later, we sang it. He sang it. But the funny thing is, he came back 2 months later and said, I know I can sing that better. Sure enough, that was the performance. And I'm going to try to sing this song. I'm going to try to get through it. It's for Jimmy. I can never match the sheer beauty of his voice, but I hope you get the message. This is called Streets of Heaven. Last night I had an ageless dream. The muse starts shaking me from sleep. So I threw my covers back and grabbed a pen. I scribbled down the words I felt, a whispered verse from somewhere else. Then I shut my weary eyes and soundly slept. I saw a land where love is born, where dreams are real and youth restored. From a mountaintop, a voice had called, and it beckoned me to stay. Above the sky, beyond the sea, we'll see our team of destiny, cheering us from our balcony, from the streets of heaven, where Shakespeare reads his latest play and Babe Ruth plays just one more game. Somehow they will know our name when we meet on the streets of heaven. And all the heroes come and gone, from Genghis Khan to George and John, are equal members as they join the crowd. We'll climb a golden flight of stairs to the boulevard of answered prayers. A million voices fill the air and sing a song of love. Above the sky, beyond the sea, we'll see our team of destiny, cheering us from our balcony, from the streets of heaven, where Shakespeare reads his latest play and Babe Ruth plays just one more game. Somehow they will know our name when we meet on the streets of heaven. We loved you then, we loved you still. Your voice rings true, it always will. So we'll live your memory till we meet again. Above the sky, beyond the sea, we'll see our team of destiny, cheering us from our balcony, from the streets of heaven, where Shakespeare reads his latest play and Babe Ruth plays just one more game. Somehow they will know our name when we meet on the streets of heaven. On the streets of heaven, on the streets of heaven, on the streets of heaven.
In the distance, there's a never-burning fire for our brother who was called to heaven's choir. There's a feeling as his spirit takes us higher. An echo of songs on the breeze. See his photograph. Try your hardest not to cry. Hear his voice and rejoice. It's the soundtrack of our lives. From the back roads of Memphis, he became the Southland's pride. Now the soul of our hero shall reign victorious. He lives in us as emotions rise up to a scorch. All across the land, the flame of love changes hands. Heaven passes the torch. Heaven passes the torch. There's a rainbow after every raging storm. Keep your chin up and cheer up. He would want us to be strong. Though the truth is before us too, we can't believe he's gone. And it's bringing our hearts to our knees. Victorious, he lives in us as emotions rise up to a scorch. All across the land, the flame of love changes hands. Heaven passes the torch. Unbreakable, unshakable, with a passion that alters life's course. So grab that baton, now it's your turn to run. Heaven passes the torch. Heaven passes the torch. The white hot spotlight is circling the stage in remembrance tonight. For the lives he touched, let us shine a every fan from every nation rise to their feet in a standing ovation. Victorious, he lives in us as emotions rise up to a scorch. Come take your stand as the flame changes hands. Heaven passes the torch. Unbreakable, unshakable, with a passion that alters life's course. So grab that baton, now it's your turn to run. Heaven passes the torch. Heaven passes the torch. Heaven passes the
Good evening. Before I get started, I'd just like to say that I'm really overwhelmed by the number of people that have shown up and all these talented musicians that have come and displayed their talent in tribute to Jimmy. So thank you all. It's been a really wonderful evening, and there's more to come. My name is Josh Cathy. Unlike most of my family, I don't have the musical talents that they display. And so I don't have a guitar with me or any vocals. I do have memories, and I do have things that I'd like to share. As I was reflecting and trying to come up with what to say this evening, I was Jimmy's stepson. However, I lived with him because of where I came in chronology for the better part of 18 years of my life with my mom, Debbie, and Jimmy. And at one point, I lived with every single one of my brothers and sisters. I lived with Ethan, I lived with Amy, I lived with Jamie, I lived with Lacey, and all under the same roof. So I have all your secrets, and I won't put them out tonight, but I've got them in case anybody needs them. And living in the household with all of those wonderful people gives you a very unique perspective over the course of time. And I've got a lot of wonderful memories with Jimmy that I'd like to share. A lot of people remember Jimmy as someone who left this world a gift of wonderful and powerful music that will never be forgotten, and that is definitely Jimmy, no doubt. That's not the Jimmy that I remember, and I'd like to share with you the Jimmy that I lived with and saw, and some of the memories that I remember. Jimmy and I stayed up many a late night playing video games. Sometimes there was blood involved, and sometimes it was brutal, and sometimes there were hard feelings, but we did that many nights. Jamie's laughing because he was right there with us. We played many games of horse where my basketball addiction began. We played many brutal backyard games of basketball as well. A lot of fun too, and I ended up playing basketball throughout my career and then becoming a high school coach and staying in education, still in education, work for Germantown Schools with the Germantown Municipal School District. So, that backyard addiction started with me and Jimmy going at it in horse in the backyard. I have a lot of good memories of that. Watching Ultimate Fighting videos. When Ultimate Fighting was still illegal in 48 states, Jimmy was all in. He would watch Ultimate Fighting videos. Now it's common, you can go watch, but when it was a blood sport and illegal, Jimmy was all in all day and night on that. For those of you who ever came to our house, and I apologize to any members of law enforcement that are in the audience, but we had a video library that would rival Blockbusters at the time. We had several VHSs, a catalog of a library that Jimmy and I took time to assemble and amass and organize along with the rest of my siblings. So those are some really wonderful memories. A big memory that I had that was really special to me at the time, back when Tim McCarver Stadium was still alive and well, he got our Little League team the chance to play on Chicks Field. Man, we thought that was the coolest thing in the world at that time. And Jimmy, he had an odd sense of humor. I'll put it that way. He would do lots of things. When I was 6, he'd let you go into a gas station, and when you come back, the car wasn't there. Where did the car go? That was Jimmy's sense of humor. I used to have a habit of repeating myself. I'd say, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go outside. And he would tell that story, and that was one of our inside jokes, even as an adult. He would call me the growth because I would grip onto people's legs. Amy remembers that because I gripped onto hers many a time. She dragged me around the house. And those are inside jokes and memories that I have of Jimmy and gripping his leg and him slinging me around the house. And I'd say, Josh, Kathy, better than nothing. And he would always tease me about that as an adult as well. Those are inside jokes that, they don't amount to much, but they amount to memories with the person that you lived with and cared about. So those are some of the things that we wanted to share. Some of the things that I know my mom will be happy that we'll bring up this evening. One time he took us out into the Walddoxie Lake at Walddoxie State Park, and she told him a hurricane was coming. He said, no, it wasn't coming. Well, it came. Jamie was a little guy. He probably doesn't even remember it, but the sky opened, boat was turning. We thought it was funny. She didn't think it was very funny at the time. And we had an explorers club that my mom never knew about. When she would leave the house, there were crawl spaces under the house that we knew every nook and cranny underneath that house, and roofs and attic spaces. If there was mischief, Jimmy was all in, and that was the Jimmy that I will always remember. So I remember most as an adult, and I'll close with this. Every time Jimmy saw me, whether it was a day, a week, a month, a year that passed, he would always grab me, he would hug me, he'd kiss me on the forehead, and he'd say, Josh, I'm very proud of the man that you've become. So, Jimmy, I know you're up there listening. Don't have any plans of disappointing you. We're going to continue to make you proud. Thank you.
It's more than just a career. It's a way of life. You know, it's a feeling that you get that you can't get anywhere else. In doing anything else, I don't care if you love your job, doing whatever you do. If there's not some kind of art in it, or music, basically, I think music is a bigger art than drawing pictures or anything else. You know, because it could affect so many people, and it affects you. You know, and it comes from your inside your heart. Where I can't see how art. I mean, I appreciate totally a great painting, but I can't see how something that can move you that much as music does. You know, I can't comprehend that. Maybe it's just me. It just moved me that much. But once you're in this, you're in for life. You know, pretty much.
I just want to say thanks to Jim Peterick. I never met Jimmy. All the years that we'd be out there singing back and forth across the road, I never got that opportunity to meet Jimmy until Jim Peterick took us both over to Belgium to do a show over there. And man, you talk about brothers from another mother. We were like, we just couldn't believe how alike we were. I'm a prankster, and you know, the world knows Jimmy as a big, awesome rock singer, which I love his talents. But to me, Jimmy was like that guy that I went to high school with and got to hang out. So to actually see Jimmy's original band get up and play, and I totally get it now. We did a lot of catching up in the last few years. We did a lot of shows together. We had a lot of love for one another. And yes, we did talk about our kids. Our kids are the most important thing. And we talked about our dreams, talked about the business, the good, the bad, the ugly. But more than anything, I guess, you know, Jim had me come and sing one of the Survivor songs, and he put it on a record. And I said to Jimmy, I said, "Did you hear that tune?" He goes, "Yeah, I heard that tune. You sang it better than I did." No, man, nobody could sing it better than you. And I'm going to tell you one more quick story. I had a great opportunity of working with another fine band, the Journey guys, and when I was working with three of the members of Journey on a record, Steve Smith was playing drums, and we'd always play like this moment of truth where we talk about the things that are important to us and how can I make myself better, and Steve would share with me, sometimes you sing ahead of the beat. The great singers, like Steve Perry and that guy that sings with Survivor, sings a little bit behind the beat. And I'm like, so what you're saying is that if somebody had to replace Steve Perry, he goes, yeah, I'd want that guy. He sings like a man. And you know, I told him that, and he went, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I had to call him up and send him $20 or something. Jimmy was a prankster, and what I wanted to say when I got down here was I'm always going to remember Jimmy as being that lively prankster, fun guy, sing the songs with everything you got. I'm going to tell you one more story. He'd call me up and say, hey, man, what are you doing tonight? I don't know. He goes, I'm playing just up the road from you, man. Why don't you come on up? Yeah, well, I found out what it was all about when I got there. It was like, Kevin Chalfant, come on up and sing a song. The band didn't know one single song that I knew. So they said, well, you know that tune, the lights, when the lights go down in the city, right? So the band's like, yeah, kind of. Then he leans over to me and goes, just wait, don't sing. Just wait, don't sing. Just make them wait, you know? And then I don't sing, and everybody's waiting for the singing. He's like, Aren't you going to sing? Come on, sing for the people. He loved doing that, putting you on the spot. You know, there's so many great rock and rollers that have come and gone in Jimmy's life, you know, come through the door. I just wanted to come down here and sing a song that I think would cheer him up, and I just found out this is his mother's favorite song. It's a good old gospel song. Jimi Jamison would say, come on, clap your hands. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away. Come on, get up, clap your hands. To a home on God's celestial shore, I'll fly away. Come on, sing it. Guitar solo. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joy will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. Yeah. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Tell you I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Let's fly away. We love you, Jimmy.
How great was that? Kevin Chaffon. Oh, man. Well, I'm John Cafferty. Come down here from Rhode Island. The family, hi. Love you guys. This is Michael Toombs and Toombs. We've been playing together for many years. We've been playing together for many, many years. And over maybe the past 15 or 16 of them, there's been a band of brothers We had some records back in the 80s. Early MTV guys. Mike Reno from Loverboy, Jimi Jamison from Survivor, Bobby Kimball, Toto, Mickey Thomas from Starship, Fergie Ferguson from Toto, Alex Lidgerwood, Santana, Dave Jenkins. I mean, a cast of characters. We sort of like slipped away from our bands and went out and did a bunch of charity work. Did a bunch of charity events and just had a ball doing it together, traveled around the world. Jimmy would come up to Rhode Island every year up to our Rockin' Jock event and come and sing for us. We would come down here to Memphis and do shows with Jimmy for St. Jude's and Make-A-Wish. And what these guys all understand is that all these years later, we look back at our careers and we understand that music at its best has a giving spirit to it. And what I mean by that is it just makes us feel better. It lifts us up. It lifts our hearts. And like Kevin just did, it made our toes tap. It just makes us feel better. And our friend Jimi Jamison knew that people at their best have a giving spirit. And Jimi Jamison always made everyone in this room feel better. He just made us feel better. He walked in the room, I had a smile on my face just like everybody in here. He just lifted our hearts, and he made my foot tap, that's for sure. So Jimmy, love you. I know he loved everybody here. He loved this song. We played together all the time, and every night we would sing it. He'd be over on the side of the stage because he loved to hear Toombs playing that saxophone. This is a song that we did for a movie called Eddie and the Cruisers about 100 years ago. And it goes like this.
When the moon hung soft and low, catching stars just in light, held me closer and closer. There was magic in the night. Sweet love song and melody that I still can recall. Two young hearts filled with dreams to walk away with it all. Oh, tender years, won't you wash away my tears? How I wish you were near. Please don't go, tender years.
You know, like John said, this was Jimmy's favorite song with us. We had done it long before the movie Eddie and the Cruisers. And Jimmy and I had a lot of funny things, just like a lot of people. But we started golf together. And it was so hilarious. And one instance, we were down in Sawgrass. We got our first clubs. They were Olamar driver and a 3-wood. And we were so anxious to get to the driving range, we forgot to take the plastic off the clubs. And Jimmy and I over there, bam, bam, the ball's going like, So Gary Hallberg is, hey guys, you gotta take that off. Well, no, we took the cover off. He said, no, the plastic. So that was kind of funny. And another time we were in the middle of the fairway on a par 5, and he said, how the heck are we gonna get there? I said, 3-wood. Jimmy gets down on the ground like this. He was making a tee. He was teeing the ball. And he got there and he gets back. Now watch this. Whack! The ball rolled over, the dirt went flying. You know. But we would just laugh like crazy, and we'd go out and play golf and come back and do a show. And we would talk about kids. He's got kids, I have kids. But this is one aspect of life that you get an opportunity to do what you love to do everywhere in the world. And almost every single time, we see people like yourselves with a smile on their face, having a good time, and making memories. And Jimmy left a memory with all of us. With all of us. This is for you, Jimmy.
This tune's on the sax. Love you, Jimmy.
From the heart, always from the heart, Jimmy. Love you. To all your family, love you.
Hello, hello, hello. This is starting to make us both feel better. I was feeling kind of rough coming down here. Just, you know, it's just the way it is with me. I get a little verklempt, I imagine. Hey, kids. Saw some of you at the concert recently. Your sister and Jimmy came out. It was fun. Jimmy was sitting in the front row at my concert, and him and I are very much alike. We kind of like being in the background until it's time to do something, and we don't mind doing it. But until that time, we kind of hide in the back, and we're both a little nervous about going on. And we had the show, Loverboy was playing. He came down to see us, and I gave him seats right in the front row. And I'm looking at him, and he's going like this. Don't ask me up, don't ask me up, don't ask me up. And I can just read it because I know him. And so instead of asking him up, I got him introduced him to the audience, and I asked him to stand up. And the whole time he's going, don't ask me up, don't ask me up. You know, because it's tough coming on stage with another band, and, you know, he'd have to try to play something, and we never practiced and everything. So I didn't ask him up, and he comes backstage, and the first thing he does is gives me a big bear hug and goes, thanks for not asking me up. I could tell stories all night, but I don't want this to go till midnight. Well, it wouldn't be bad, actually. It's been a lot of fun. One thing Jimmy used to say is he'd say, hey, Mike, you sing that song with your beautiful wife, Kathy. And so we thought we'd play the song that he loved the most when we sing it together at a lot of functions over the last 15 years with Jimmy and the Voices of Classic Rock. And a lot of the people here tonight have been part of that, Voices of Classic Rock. And we've done many shows all over the place. And it's been a fun little side gig. And I just wanted to say, I feel your pain, and I'm with you all the way here, and I love you, and if there's anything I can do, don't be afraid to call me up and ask, because I'll be there for you, okay? That's a promise. And let's play Jimmy's favorite song by Kathy and Mike. Okay, you ready, boys? Thought that dreams were meant for other men, 'cause each time I got close, they'd fall apart again.
I feared my heart would beat in secrecy. My face and eyes know.
Oh, how could I have known when all my life I've only needed you? Oh, almost paradise. We're knocking on heaven's door. Almost paradise. How could we ask for more?
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you.
I want to give a really big round of applause to Paul Redding for bringing all this stuff out, for setting this stage up for Jimmy. Without Paul, the stage would be virtually empty. So thank you, Paul.
Hi, everyone. For those who don't know, my name's Lacey Jamison. And my dad was always encouraging me to perform in front of people because he thinks that I really should. He was encouraging me all the time with my musical talent. So I just want to dedicate this to him. Dad, I hope you're watching. I'm a phoenix in the water, a fish that's learned to fly. And I've always been a daughter, but feathers are meant for the sky. And so I'm wishing further for the excitement to arrive. It's just I'd rather be causing the chaos than laying at the sharp end of this knife. And with every small disaster, I'll let the water still take me away to some place real. 'Cause they say home is where your heart is set in stone, is where you go when you're alone, is where you go to rest your bones. And it's not just where you lay your head, it's not just where you make your bed. As long as we're together, does it matter where we go? Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. So when I'm ready to be bolder and my cuts have healed with time, comfort will rest on my shoulders and I'll bury my future behind. I'll always keep you with me, you'll be always on my mind. But there's a shining in the shadows I'll never know unless I try. And with every small disaster, I'll let the water still take me away to some place real. 'Cause they say home is where your heart is set in stone, is where you go when you're alone, is where you go Thank you so much.
Lacey Jamison. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that that was the first time she's ever sung in public in her life. She not only sings beautifully, she's a brave girl. And I think tonight, we've seen why we all came together, you know. As we said on the program, this is about love and about music. And when you feel it in the way that I think all of us have felt it tonight, those songs become prayers. They become, in the old Roman Catholic sense, sacraments, an outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual grace. And like Kevin said, and he was right, Jimi Jamison sang like a man, you know. But it's also true that he loved in a way that a lot of men can't. He was a man of such an open and generous heart. I think we've all witnessed that. Even his heart might have been a little too open sometimes, and he got taken advantage of sometimes, but he never blamed somebody. He'd go, yeah, they messed me up, but they're having a bad time, you know. They're really a good guy. And so I think the message for me, and I hope maybe the message for all of us, is that we can't, I don't think anybody in this, well, maybe Mike Reno, but very few people in this room or in this world can sing like Jimi Jamison, but we can all try to love like he did. And come on out, Amy and Nico. Come on out. This is the, what we tried to do tonight was start you for the very first song that Jimmy sang and kind of touch the bases along the way, this song and that song. And with Lacey, and now with Amy Jamison, we're singing the future of this family and this talent. And I hope all of you who live here will support them when they play out. And I somehow don't think this is going to be the last time Lacey sings. But come on out, you characters. Because this is, you know, for a while we were thinking we were going to end up with a big rousing song we could all sing. But really, the song that Amy's chosen is probably exactly the right way to end. I think it's only fitting that Miss Amy Jamison Poole leaves us with a thought. That's her old man, he's prejudiced. But that she leaves us with, I think, something that we all can sing in our hearts. Amy Jamison Poole.
Thank you. I wanted to say that on August the 27th, 5 days before my father died, I got an email, and it said, "Hey, honey, I think you should learn this song. And I think God does things for a reason, and I think he sent me this song." There are places I remember all my life, though some all these places lose their moments with people and friends. I still can recall some are dead and some are living. But my life, I love them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compared to you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more. Thank you so much. I know that our dad loves you and thanks you so much too. God be with you. Thank you so much.